Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Coffee Chat. I'm so glad to be back here. I have missed you guys over the last couple of weeks, but now I'm back and ready.
Yep, good spring break.
Yeah, we had a great spring break. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sherry Smeraglia. I am the CEO of Smeraglia Enterprises and Teddy Bear Goldendoodles, Schnoodles, and Twoodles. And I'm here with Carol Tuberville. And she works with all of our animals. She's like the animal care supervisor. She knows a lot about everything going on at the farm. And behind the camera, you've got Will. Say hello, Will.
Hello.
And Dana.
Hello.
She's off camera today, but thank y'all last week. I watched the Coffee Chat, and y'all did a fabulous job with your question and answers. And I thought, you know what? We had so many questions that didn't get answered last week. We will be jumping into that in a few minutes, but that was good.
Yeah, it was fun. I felt like we got a lot of clients that really felt like we hit some topics that they needed.
Yes.
It was beneficial. We had a lot of people commenting, and so you guys do that again today, kind of with follow-up questions to what we're saying.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can actually give a straightforward answer today and not yes or no.
Yeah. Well, we never give yes or no because there can be a yes or no answer, but sometimes our questions always have yes, but, or
yes,
no, but. And so we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, hopefully you guys have had a great day. How about you? You've had a good day?
It's been a busy day, but a good day.
It's already Tuesday, and I feel like it's Friday.
It's definitely been a
Monday and
busy
Tuesday's
day. The
crazy.
weather is so beautiful
It's
though
so
right
nice.
now. It's so pretty.
So I went on spring break last week, and it was okay week. We had some good days and terrible days. We literally had almost a tornado storm. Like, it was terrible. Like, literally blew chairs into the water, and we lost them forever. Like, they flew away.
They were gone.
And it's like this week, I'm like, gosh, you can't ever get it right in the South when it comes to spring break. It's like April showers bring May flowers. Well, we are putting seeds in the ground here at the farm.
We are.
Carol's husband, Charles, is our prep school training supervisor, but he also doubles as our tractor guy, and he plants and does all kind of cool stuff. So we are getting our beautiful seeds in the ground, and then lots
Have
of fun
beautiful
things.
flowers coming up.
And so all of
Sunflowers,
you,
right?
sunflowers and zinnias. So
yes.
it's going to be really, really wonderful. But, all right, so welcome. If you're all just joining, let's go ahead and get started. Now, Dana's over here, right here.
Yeah.
And she's going to monitor your questions or any comments that you have. She'll address us with your questions, and I'll talk about what's on the screen with Carol.
Yeah.
Dana, who's here with us?
Yeah, well, we've got several people, and you guys tell us hello. We love to see you guys. We've got Kristen, who is one of our supporters, and
Yes.
she picked her baby up last week. How's it going?
I'm sorry I missed you. I was out of
Kristen,
town.
she said it was 80s last week, and it snowed yesterday and today. Okay.
Where are you, Kristen?
That's
What state?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jim Hummer with us, Rachel Thomas, and Carla Wright. Y'all, welcome.
Well, welcome, and thank you for following us. And if you want to become a supporter or subscribe to our channel, because you can also see a little bit more behind the scenes and join us for the first Monday of every month. We have our Yappy Hour, which we actually, Meredith and I, have a glass of wine, and Dana's there, and we all just hang out. We have our own little party.
Yep.
It's fun.
Okay, let's talk about the questions. The wheel. Let's do the drum roll.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the first question? Frequently asked question. These questions come from the office staff who pick up the phone and spend every minute of their day chatting with you guys. And I said, what's the most frequently asked questions? And they want to know, are all of our dogs born on our property? Now, I know the answers, but I'm going to act like I don't. Carol is going to answer them.
This question actually could be two separate questions. So let me ask it as two separate questions.
Okay. You're going to make it technical.
I am. So are all of our dogs, meaning our breeding dogs, born on property? Or, and maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Most of them. Okay, so I'll start adding into that. We're not technically pure breed breeders. So when we have our dogs, we have Goldendoodles, of course. To make a Goldendoodle, it takes a poodle, and then a Golden Retriever, and those are English Golden Retrievers.
Correct.
Okay. Then to make a Schnoodle, we're designers. We're dog designers.
Correct.
So to design, I was thinking about this week. I'm a dog designer.
There you go.
And then to make a Schnoodle, it's Schnauzer and Poodle. Okay, so now we've got Golden Retriever, Poodle, twice, Schnauzer. And then to make a Twoodle, well, it just makes a Golden Doodle and a Schnoodle, so we still have the same parent breeds. But we don't breed all of those parent breeds most of the time.
Correct.
In the beginning, when we're working with lines, we want to find outcrossed lines, right? But then when we find really great lines that we fall in love with, we will a lot of times reproduce that line to have, like, before my Golden Retriever girl goes out or my boy goes out, I'm like, oh, we got to have a litter of pure breeds, right?
Correct. So like we just did that. So like we saw Rhett, I think he's just been adopted. You'll
Yeah.
see a Golden Retriever
I
posted.
heard.
And so that's Alaska. Alaska retired. She
Oh my
is one of
God,
the girls.
gorgeous.
And so from a genetics standpoint too, so Alaska is a very rare retriever where her DNA is totally clear. She doesn't carry for anything. It's a
Man, well.
and that doesn't happen all the time. So we wanted to keep those genetics here.
We can't lose that, but we can't.
lose
She
it.
can't breed for forever. There's only a limited period of time. So before she's spayed, we were like, it's called her go out litter. She's replacing herself, and so we did. We did.
We
it,
did.
and
We bred her
had-
to Albert, and then we got the puppies off of that, and then we keep, and then she's retired and
She went home.
actually went on home with Kayla and is enjoying life being a couch
Our
potato.
staff fight over our dogs
They
too.
do.
And then Dobby Day, our Golden Retriever boy. I have so many people like, I want Dobby Day when he retires. I'm like, he's not going anywhere.
He's staying here.
We have a farm, so he's a farm boy.
Yes, he is. He's having a
But
great time.
poodles, the same way. We were working with the Schnauzer breeder, and then they pretty much kind of went out of business. They didn't keep doing it. So we bought the parent dogs that we loved. I mean, we kept buying puppies off of, that was off of Alfredo.
And
we
Kipper.
and Kipper and Alfredo. And we were like, oh my God, you're not going to breed him. And he was like, no. I mean, he lost his mother. He went through a lot of stuff. And we were like, he said, if you guys want him. So then we had them so we could breed our Schnauzers. So kinda, we are breeding all of our doodles. They're all bred here. And most of our parent dogs. But sometimes we're like, I want to bring a poodle into the program, and it's like this. And we don't have the ability to make this color code or this size. So we are connected to some fabulous breeders out there.
We are. So we bring in to introduce something that we don't have, or we bring in to complement what we currently have with breeders that we trust and that we work with in a really good partnership. But for the most part, we produce our own parent dogs here.
But when we work with these breeders, we have very, very high standards. So we DNA test their puppies. We request all kind of tests. And the breeders are really happy that their dog, one of their dogs in their program, got to be with us because they're foundation dogs for some of the greatest new breeds in the world, which is the Golden Doodle, the Schnoodle, and the Twoodle. These are new breeds, and two of, well, they're pretty much all exclusive Smeraglia. Other people make Schnoodles. Nobody else makes Twoodles. Designed Schnoodles and Twoodles. And
Nobody
Golden
else
Doodle.
makes them like we do.
And ours, I was the first person to ever, breed the English Golden Doodle. So there were people breeding Golden Doodles, but nobody had ever done the English Golden Doodle. So we pretty much have our own exclusive lines, and we keep them real tight. We don't let anybody buy them that without them being spayed or neutered or on a contract, and especially breeders that we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And over the years we've really gotten good even with our parent breeds like poodles at selectively breeding, like we were talking about with Alaska, having those clear genetics, really, really good traits. We've got another girl in our program that's hips were so good and her puppy's hips are so good that we literally have gotten phone calls wanting us, like from Pinhip, to retest because it's such an
There's no way
unusually
you-
good score. And it's like those scores just don't exist.
You know what? Cheers. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. That is something to
Be proud of.
To wag about.
Yes, it is. And
We're
so
gonna brag
that's-
about that.
So it's really cool to kind of be able to see that over the years, to be able to develop.
I love that. So all of our puppies, doodle puppies, are born here, but not all of our parent dogs. But slowly but surely, we will have all of them. But in some cases, it's in the best interest of our program for them not to be born here because we want to outcross some of this.
So that was the answer to the
Yes
second
and
way
no.
to read that question, which was, are all of our dogs, meaning the puppies that we list and offer, born on property?
They are.
Yes, they're born on Smeraglia property.
Dana, any comments before we move on? Do y'all have
We
any
have
comments?
several people.
Okay.
But we just had Jen Waitert say hello from Missouri. We've got Debbie Owens, Andrea Bishop, Giselle Gordon, Landon, Hedrick, Carol Romer, Christina McClure, Christina Vasquez. So
Everybody, welcome. Okay.
Next question.
Next question, Will. Throw it up there.
Okay, so what are the different energy levels and can you define each?
Oh, okay, because Charles talks about this a lot when I do prep school videos. He'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, and he gives numbers, and you give words.
I give words, and everything is relative. So the word that you hear depends on your frame of reference and the window that you're looking at.
Okay, so then they need to know when you say a word, what does that mean?
So on temperament assessments, when I talk about energy level, so realize that any puppy at any time can be laid back and chill, and any puppy can be bounce off the walls cuckoo based on how you're meeting their needs. So I can take a puppy who's got a ton of energy and drive my golf cart and let them chase it and hang out all day and go romp on the farm. And that dog is going to zonk out and everybody's going to think it is the most laid back. Yep. But he's not.
Well, he wasn't like that when I saw him on video. So that's why Carol has to say, well, what you're seeing ain't exactly what you're going to get.
Correct. So on temperament assessments, the words that I'm using do not describe that puppy as an absolute. It describes the amount of effort you have to put into being with that puppy to meet their needs. So a mid-level energy means you've got to put in a mid amount of interaction and effort to meet those puppies' needs. A moderate level puppy means you've got to put in a moderate amount of interaction.
Mid to moderate. Yeah, that's hard to think. Moderate to me equals mid. Moderate, mid. Moderate is medium.
So the scale that I look at is furniture.
Okay.
So the dog's a glorified piece of furniture.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 with Charles, he would
that would be like a 1.
A 1, 2, or 3, or just a 1?
I'd say like a 1. Like it's a glorified piece of
so
furniture.
So when she says furniture, Charles would have to say this is a 1. Okay.
Yep. Low would be 2 or 3.
A 2 or 3.
And that's going to be lower energy. Mid-level is going to be like middle of the road, which is going to be like a 4 to 5.
Okay.
Moderate is going to be like a 6 or 7.
Okay.
Now, let's say a puppy is mid to moderate. That's probably going to be like a 5 to 6.
Right in the middle.
That's a 5. It's mid, right there. Okay. 5. It's going to be right there in the middle of what's going on. And mid to moderate means it's a little more than mid. So sometimes I'll say low to mid. And what that means is, so the puppy can kind of go a little bit of both directions. It can be a little low, little mid. It's like when we say a big or medium or a small, large.
That's confusing.
Same thing.
But I understand.
But so we talk about the amount of effort that goes in. So part of that is your application process. So if you submit your application and you say, I am a single woman who works out of my house and my puppy is going to need to be crated while I'm at work 8 hours a day, but I get home in the evening and I want to go for a walk, but then I want to just kind of hang out with my puppy and watch TV, do little things, and then my puppy will be asleep overnight. Then I get up in the morning, quick walk, then I go to work. That's a very low amount of interaction.
Low or mid.
Yeah, low to mid amount of interaction. So that means you need to look for a puppy that has a low to mid energy level because that's going to meet where you are in your household. Or you have to be prepared to do something more. So if you just fall in love with that moderate energy level, realize that what you do on an average daily basis isn't meeting those puppies' needs. So you might need to sign up for doggy daycare or hire dog walkers.
Yeah, just have somebody come in the middle of the day just to kind of burn a little bit of energy. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
now,
that.
if you have a household that's got 5 kids, ages 6 to 15, and you go to sporting events and your dog is with you all the time, and when they're in school, you're at home with the puppy and you want to go on walks and go hang out in the neighborhood and the puppy's going with you everywhere, your life is moderate amount of interaction.
Moderate to maybe even high.
Maybe even high. So you're going to be fine with a puppy with that level because that's what your life is.
So you're okay when you say, oh, this puppy is a therapy candidate or this one is a service candidate. They have to be above a 5. They have to be a 5. Like a therapy, I've noticed most all therapies will be moderate energy, and then service dogs are moderate to high because they have to be on.
They have to be on. They have to be able to hang. And so you have to think about if I'm taking a therapy dog into a facility, the last thing you want is the fifth person that you visit for the dog to be like, y'all, I'm done.
I mean, I gotta take a nap.
Yeah, because then that person's going to feel like the dog's rejecting them. He was really up through the first few visits. Now all of a sudden the dog's tired and doesn't want to be there anymore.
I get that.
That's not really something that we want to necessarily recommend all the time. We want to make sure that the dog is eager and engaging and want to be there and not like, y'all, peace out, I'm ready for a nap.
Got it. Okay. Any questions about that, Dana?
No questions.
Anybody
We just
have any thoughts?
Jackie, our supporter, saying a quick hello from London.
Oh,
She's
wow.
in London.
Oh, my, Jackie.
Awesome. Nancy Cutts is watching.
Yeah.
We got
how
lots
great.
of people on. Let us know if you guys have any questions. Okay.
Yeah, so that's wonderful. Thank y'all so much. Let's go to the next question. What is the life expectancy and the main genetic weaknesses? Hold on, that's like more than one question.
Yep, so first one, what is the life expectancy of a doodle?
Life expectancy of a doodle, now it is based on the care that is given them and everything that goes into them, because the more care, the more concern as far as exercise and the foods that they eat and things like that are going to play a role. But overall for the large ones, of course, the smaller ones have a longer life expectancy, and the bigger you get, it does decrease some. Now, my medium-sized girl, London, she's a little chubby, and over that she's 13 and doing well. So I see a lot of dogs in their 13, 14s, and 15, but that's really pushing it for a medium to large dog.
Yeah.
9, 10 can be sometime, and you're seeing a lot, but with smalls, they can be 20.
Yeah, so the range that we would say for all of our dogs here is going to be anywhere from about 10 to 17. Younger than 10's not the norm. It can happen, but it's not the norm. Over 17, not the norm, can happen.
Even 17's pushing it.
It is. And so getting up there, but again, it varies from dog to dog, and then the care and their attitude about things and how they do. I have Karis too, who's a poodle, and she's 13, and you would never know it.
Yeah, and Meredith's Ruthie is 14. The client that was here today getting her second puppy, they're 14. But my sister had a retriever that was 22, and she really kept her longer than she should have. She couldn't release her.
Pisa's older than Cody.
Oh my gosh.
And so Cody is 16, but I got Pisa. Pisa was already here when I very first started. And he was a special needs dog that I adopted.
Pisa.
Yeah, he was leaning. He still leans. But yeah, I still have Pisa.
He had a neurological thing that always made him go,
He's so funny too, because he doesn't just lean, he processes sound backwards, and it's really funny because he'll be looking at you and you call him to come and he'll run the other way. And then he'll stop and kind of look around like, I know I heard you, where are you? And then he'll look around and see you and then come running like he's the happiest thing. But he's over 16.
That's awesome. So awesome.
Yes.
So you guys, what's the oldest dog of anyone listening today? Put the ages of your dogs here, and we'll look at that in just a minute and see if we have anybody older than that. I would love to know that.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, now, what are the main genetic weaknesses? I do want to talk about that, and I know Carol is the person that handles what we would have to do anybody that reaches out for health issues. She and I are the most experienced in that area, but that is something that is her lane now. Thank you, Carol, for that, because, that's a big, big task. And just dealing with any issue, genetic issues and things like that, we want to do a whole topic on that moving forward, genetics versus heredity, but we will talk about that briefly here today. When I started with golden retrievers, the number one reason why I wanted to get out of breeding golden retrievers was because of the genetic the health issues that were more cancer related. It was health related. Cancer was a big issue within the golden retriever world, and they also were very well known for having hip dysplasia. So it was so hard to get a golden in your program that didn't end up developing cancer or hip dysplasia. I mean, you could go through 2 or 3 dogs, raise them as puppies before you actually got a dog that you didn't have to spay or neuter because you couldn't get them cleared health-wise.
Well,
that's big.
And what's really tough about a lot of that, especially like with retrievers, and there are so many topics we can branch off.
Oh yeah,
so
we can.
we're
This
gonna
is
come back.
brief.
So we'll do, like, in a coming week, we'll do congenital versus inherited, and then I think we'll probably have to do another week where we talk about like genetic diversity and the importance of it, because that is one of the things with the golden retrievers. So one of the things that's really hard too is like what you're saying, cancer doesn't show up until a dog is 6, 7, 8 years old. Well, in a breeding program, 6, 7, 8 years old is retirement.
That's when we're
age.
retiring them.
Yes.
And you can't test for that.
You can't test for that. And so because that's retirement age, they now not only have puppies, but grand puppies on the ground. And you can't go through and eliminate every single dog.
Or you never have any dogs, because that's well past there when we think that they should be breeding. So we've already got them spayed and neutered by then. But
It's keeping
we
up
are,
with it.
but we are in development and research, and so because I have been breeding for so many years, I mean many years, we have the records now from all the past dogs and the puppies, and that's
can keep
why
up
we
with a
keep up with the genetics, and why Carol has this whole department of keeping the data.
So on the question, what are the main genetic weaknesses? I think that that's actually kind of a tough question to answer, because as far as genetic weaknesses go, because of the diligence that you've had over the years and that we have with testing, anything that's a straightforward, we can test for it, we can see it, we really don't have a lot of issue with here because we've eliminated it from the program. The bigger genetic weaknesses are the things that you can't test for, the things that you find out about later on, and that to me is still like our struggle. It's also
For every breeder, I mean
It is.
anybody that's in the program.
I think it's also, to me, one of the biggest weaknesses is education of the public of what are genetic weaknesses versus what are genetic factors that then the environment creates bigger issues with. So like you were saying, hip dysplasia. Well, the most recent research says that hip dysplasia is only actually about 40% genetic. The rest of it is how the dog's fed, how they're exercised, and everything else. So for 40 years, we've been doing all of this genetic testing and not hit the incidence across dogs in general.
You have a responsibility as an owner. Your responsibility is like 60% what's going to happen with your dog versus what I'm doing on my end, and I'm trying to be very responsible. And it's funny, you can try to do everything, and somebody's going to nitpick you and have a problem with it, but we give a health warranty on our puppies, so of course we're not wanting to produce genetic issues. We don't want to have to be responsible for something that's going to break your heart and produce a puppy that's going to have, very, very life-threatening issues. So we're going to do our due diligence as much and as great as we can do it.
Yeah, so I would say the main genetic weaknesses, to be honest, are the things that you really can't test for. It's those things that we just don't know.
So we test for hip, heart, elbows. We check for eyes. We check for DNA. Over 200 different.
It's almost 240
now.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So it's constantly going up.
But there's
what we're
also
testing for.
things that just knowing, because we test, you can say, okay, there has to be a carrier. There has to be 2 of them. So we can know, if this one's a carrier, then we have to know who this one can breed to and who this one cannot. And any vet that would meet your puppy and say, this puppy has this, and we can say 100% nope, because we have the DNA test and the parents do not carry that. And so much so that we've had vets look at things like that and go, we gotta go back and relook, because you're right, this can't be what I thought it was, based on the DNA test of the parents. Thank goodness for those things.
Thank goodness.
It saved a lot of people a lot of expenses.
Yeah, going through all that testing, when with the DNA test of the parents or even a DNA test on the puppies, you can eliminate those 240 things right off the top.
But I will say, just a little quick advertisement, but it's nothing on our part. Get your Trupanion signed up the minute you get your puppy. You have 24 hours, and it covers all unexpected stuff, but you get 30 days free. We don't get anything for that. It's just helped so many of our clients, but you have to sign up within 24 hours of getting your puppy. And you know what? You can at least rest a little easy that if something happens, you don't have this big financial burden.
Correct.
Okay, let's move on. Any other questions? Okay.
We kind
No
of
questions?
talked about that
Well,
a second ago.
No questions from here, but I just want to say Shannon gave us a little shout out. Hello from Austin, Texas. Hello, Shannon.
Hey,
Bruce.
Shannon. All right. We love seeing y'all from all over the United States and abroad. All right. Can you explain what hybrid vigor means? I love that because we love to say on our website, we have within our doodles. Now, hybrid vigor means it's a hybrid breed. And we'll let Carol go into that. She likes to talk about that stuff. But here's the thing. Our purebred dogs do not have hybrid vigor. It is only when you take two different breeds and bring them together. It's kind of like the old saying in the old days, you know, them mutts, they the healthiest dogs you can ever find. And I remember hearing mutts. My daddy would say that. Them mutts, they so healthy. You know, them purebred dogs out there, you can't hardly, you know, country back in the day, you can't hardly keep them alive. But those other dogs, nothing happens to them. Them mutts. And I would like mutts. Well, we are designer dogs. We are not mutts, but there's some truth to that.
There is. So hybrid vigor, basically what that talks about is just like we were talking about with the golden retrievers, being kind of sad. Well, the reason is at some point you've got to breed dogs that are very, very closely related to get those traits that you're looking for that make that
Even if you
purebred
don't
dog.
know it, it's happening because
You're
it's a
lining
small
it up.
world, right?
It is. And so you line up those traits. And a lot of times you don't realize it, that traits are linked to each other, or there's a more complex process to that, but you lack genetic diversity. So in a future episode, we were actually, another one we can talk about is genetic diversity, where one of the things we look at a lot with our DNA testing is something called coefficient of inbreeding.
And that's deep, Carol.
It is. It
Talk
gets
to their
very
level.
deep.
You got to talk on their level.
I'm gonna do. So,
I'm not saying y'all aren't smart. I'm just saying some people, I don't want to lose them.
Yes, I'll bring it down. So coefficient of inbreeding, basically what that talks about is the amount of DNA material within a dog that is novel and not shared. And so when you talk about a coefficient of inbreeding, you'll get a number score that's something like 20% or 18%. And what that means is that the genetic material within that dog from mom and dad, this much of it is shared. That's how much inbreeding occurred. 25% would represent breeding a brother to a sister.
Really?
It's that close.
We don't do that, y'all.
We don't, but almost all purebred dogs are over 20% coefficient of inbreeding because that's how tight those genetics have to get that purebred dog.
Right.
Well, what's cool is when you breed a purebred retriever to a purebred poodle, we can get a 0% coefficient of inbreeding, which means the likelihood of lining up recessive traits goes way, way down. With that number going down, recessive traits tend to go down.
So
it's
how
super
I
helpful.
say it when I speak to people, I say the genetic weaknesses are just much less. Okay, so I've got a chance of this dog carries this, but this one doesn't even have it in its genetics. So when you breed them together, it's just more chance. Hybrid vigor is a healthier dog. They're just going to be healthier for life because they don't have genetic weaknesses that line up together.
Correct. So definitely have the genetic diversity. And the really cool thing too about a lot of our dogs that we don't always talk about and think about is poodles are not one breed. Genetically and from a genetic diversity standpoint, there are 3 different breeds of
Just like
poodles.
schnauzers.
Just like schnauzers, where there's miniature, there's standard, and in schnauzers it's miniature, standard, and giant, and then in poodles it's toy, miniature, and standard. Technically toy, miniature, moyen, and standard.
There's technically can be 4 because we work off of the 4 because we do add the moyen, which is where you take a standard and then breed it down to like a miniature, and then you get a moyen, which is kind of an in-between one.
So on DNA it defines it as small, toy, small, and standard is what it's defined at on DNA. So
Yes, and we actually have giant schnauzers in our program, and we have miniature, but we do not have standard. I tried that. I had some standard schnauzers. I had 2. That breed was a world of difference, and I was like, we're not bringing this into our program. The personalities were nothing, and they were bred from different dogs. So the dogs that made the standard were not something that I felt comfortable bringing into my program because the personalities, and it could have been the bloodlines that I was introduced to. You could come back and say, hey, I've got some that are so, but I never met one I felt comfortable temperament-wise bringing it into breeding with a poodle.
The coat was also a little bit different. So in the miniatures, we can get a little bit different, like
But we can make our own
We
Moyens,
can make our own.
which is where we make our own, taking our little miniatures up to our giants, and then we can make our own middle-sized schnauzer. We need to do that.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
Okay.
And we can make cool colors.
Yes.
And nobody does that I know of anyone.
Well, guys, we have a Randy saying,
Okay.
hi, it's Randy from Jacksonville, Florida, picking up her Clara pup the end of June, teddy bear Goldendoodle.
Oh, yeah.
Excited for you, Randy.
Congratulations. All right, Will, are there any more questions today? One more question. Will the staining around the eyes and mouth go away? That's a good question. Now, when it comes to the eyes, most of the time they grow out of that. Most of the time. You see puppy staining and things. I've seen some with terrible staining that's just got to do with the hair around the eyes, the hair growing, irritating the eye, or sometimes the eyelids rolled in. The mouth, I mean, really and truly, that's a whole different world.
It is. So the tear staining that we see here sometimes with puppies, a lot of times that's induced by stress. Sometimes it can be brought on by medication, like some of the dewormers that the puppies are on. Sometimes the probiotic can contribute
Humidity,
to that.
things like
Humidity definitely can. But that puppy coat has a whole different texture to it, and so it tends to absorb the tears as opposed to repelling it like the adult coat does. And so a lot of times, more often than not, they do outgrow the tear staining. Now, the feet staining and the mouth staining, that's related to saliva.
The pH balance of the saliva.
And so that's related to that. So there are some things that you can do. I know there are people that recommend doing specialized water. Biggest thing is try to keep feet dry and mouth dry as much as you can.
Yeah, London being 13, I was looking back on memories that came up on Facebook and things like that. Like London has the worst staining right now, but she's very old. You know, she's 13. But she did not, on her 10-year-old birthday party, I was looking, she was so white around her mouth. And so in the last 3 years, I do think her pH balance has changed. She does lick her feet a lot and things like that. But I actually, during COVID, shaved it all off. I mean, we ain't seeing nobody. We were just going to shave it all off. And underneath it, it was white. So it was totally white. But as it grew back, putting her mouth in the water, we have well water, but I noticed when I'm at the beach more in the summer at the condo, when she's drinking the more, fluorine, water,
treated water.
Yeah, the treated water, it wasn't bad. So I think it's got to do with the water they're drinking and their pH balance,
And those are all things that you guys can just experiment with. Like you can try changing up the water, keep it dry, make sure you're using the appropriate shampoos to keep it clean. There are definitely some supplements that you can try that do also help with that at times. And as far as chewing on the feet, got to figure out why they're chewing. Could be an allergy thing. It could be just they're bored and chewing their feet
Dog
like
food.
people.
But I would like to ask you guys, if anyone had a puppy that had tear stains, when you picked up or when they were young, send us a picture of, hey, they had these stains and here they are as an adult, because I can't think of one doodle right now that's an adult that I can recall that has tear stains. Can you? I just don't have one that will come to my mind, so it's very hard.
I would imagine, so I can't think of any off the top of my head that people have come back and said anything about. I would imagine that there are a couple of schnoodles that maybe kept tear stains a little bit later, but we will say that,
From the toy poodle line, you'll see a lot of adult toy poodles. That's just kind of part of that breed.
Well, and we'll say that too. We'll say, I don't think they're going to outgrow these tear stains to a client that's looking at that puppy. And the main reason I say that is, so we talked about the special lines of schnauzers that we work with and us breeding on our own for the hair type. So there's a particular genetic line of Schnauzers where instead of having more of a wiry terrier type
They
hair,
have that silky.
they have that silky cottony hair. So even as adults, they keep that almost puppy hair texture that's going to be more absorbent. So they might stay, but it just is not that
But
common.
here's what happens if we notice that, we eliminate them from our program.
We do.
Because that's just something that I try not to produce. And if I see that it's a constant thing and the parents are throwing it, you guys don't always love that. So I'm like, well, let's not repeat that.
Yeah, and that's why over the years, it's
We've
been
kind
a
of
while.
eliminated it.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to recall because we have kind of eliminated it over the years.
Yeah, but you'll see it in puppies a lot of times. We'll show y'all those. But when it comes to Goldendoodles and Tweedles, yeah. All right, anybody else? Any comments from them?
Nope.
Well, I think this was a very productive conversation, question and answers.
Stuff myself.
Did you?
I
Well, there
did.
you go. You can answer questions. All right, guys, you can answer them because you're over there in hospitality.
Dana, you can answer questions now.
I'm so happy.
Because she does pickups and things, and they ask these kind of questions. So she
absolutely.
can
I knew
answer.
a lot of this, but
Yeah.
there are little things that I picked up that I was like, okay, that's a little more than I knew, or a different
Way of saying
different
it.
way.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's cool.
Well, this was a wonderful coffee chat with you guys. We enjoy hanging out with y'all every single week, and I look forward to the first Monday night in May because Meredith and I are going to have a fun time with y'all. And if you've got questions that you would like answered, send them in. We would love to answer your questions and make it a topic of the day.
Yeah. And then next week, we're going to talk about congenital versus inherited. They are two different things.
So go look up those words in the dictionary.
homework.
That's your homework. So you come prepared with your questions. All right, guys, you have a happy Tuesday, and we have some great puppies for the rest of the day. So go out there and get your application submitted if you're wanting a puppy, because that's the first step in getting a puppy from Smeraglia. You got to submit that app, and once that's submitted, you can literally go online any hour of the day or night and submit and adopt your puppy right off the website.
There are some real cuties available too.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. All right, y'all have a great day. I'm going to finish my coffee.
Bye.